So I'm currently waiting for a bacteria bloom to like clear in my 8-foot aquarium before adding the fish. And in the meantime, Superfish have sent us an awesome, Superfish have sent us an awesome kit aquarium, and I've got a great idea for it. So here we have the Quadro 40, which is a very, well, almost exactly the same tank as the Quadro 70 I've got here, which I'm an absolute massive fan of. It's been growing all the plants really, really well. The fish are doing good, shrimp are breeding, absolutely love it, and I don't have to do anything to it either. Now this one is the 70, the Quadro 70, so it's like larger. And then this one is the cute little 40, but what is new about this one then? Why have they sent it to me? Because it's got multicolored light. Anyway, enough of the dramatics. Let's get it out and see what you get in the kit. Right then, first of all, box and packaging. Very nice box, very tidy, very sturdy, stapled. Yeah, it's a box. But what's inside the box? Another box, no. Okay. All right, packaging on the top. There's the lid for the tank. Should you want it, I never bother, but you know, some people might be keeping fish that are jumpy. Oh, it's so cute and small. I'm so used to looking at the bigger one. Oh, there's the base. Ah, then there's like a separate thing for it to sit on that makes the LED, I see. We don't need that. So I'm guessing this literally just slots over the top. Ah, yeah, there we go. Nice. This must be the light, it usually is. Yes, which then goes on here, and then there's a little screw somewhere. Not that, there it is. It's like a little screw thing. It just goes over there like that, and then you just screw it in. Don't need that, don't need that. Instruction manual, comes with full instruction manual. We don't need that. Right, so you've got a plug here for the under light, you've got a plug here for the main light, and obviously you've got your filter plug as well, because inside the tank is already a filter. It's all built in. And then there's this little cartridge here, which comes out. Get rid of that. This is all cleanable as well. That just slots in the top, ready to go. Oh, not quite ready to go. We've got a nice little cover there as well, keeps everything nice and tidy. To be honest, I'm too impatient. I want to test out the lighting now and have a look at everything, just to make sure what I've got planned for this will actually work. Okay, switching on the main light. Yes, that's definitely bright enough for what I want to do with it. Got a sticker in here I'm going to remove. It tells you the maximum height for the water level. There we go. I always like it when you can use the sticker to get off the glue. Right, what I really want to see though is this mood lighting. That's plugged in. Oh, okay, it's doing like a cycle. Do I want a cycle? I do not. I want that. Okay, so you just keep clicking, you can go for, oh, there it is. There's the green I want. Done. MD green. So I've got quite a lot of other lights on at the moment that's probably cutting it out a bit. Look, well, I've got that one there for a start. So let me switch everything off so we can see what it's going to look like in someone's sort of living room, with it being like the only thing on in the evening other than the telly, say. Oh, there we go, look. It's doing a weird sort of flash thing on the camera, but it's not doing that in real life. That's just something to do with frame rates and stuff like that. So just ignore that for a second. Let me see if I can fix that. There we go, different sort of shutter speed. So yeah, the thing is, I don't record at that frame rate. I record at the one that makes it flash. So for the time being, I'll just turn the light off, but at the end, I'll put it on properly. So this is like, I'd say, a perfect little starter sized tank. Here's my hands for reference. And I really like the black silicone actually. I don't often pick it, but on these kind of tanks, I just think it works really well. Keeps everything tidy, and it's also gonna hide any sort of algae marks in the corner, which means less maintenance because you don't have to get a toothbrush down there or whatever. Yeah, like I say on the Quadro 70 here, I never do anything to it, and it just looks fantastic. I really like this. Sort of thing you can have just on your side in the kitchen or something like that, and it always looks good. No effort required. Now remember, to get an ecosystem to work well, you need an absolutely solid substrate system. It's all about the nutrients that can be provided to the plants. So for instance, if you were just to put a load of sand in here, put the plants and fill it up, it would work eventually with fish adding waste, which would just sort of seep its way into the sand and eventually fertilise that whole sand bed. That's a very, very, very slow method. So what we do is we artificially sort of fertilise it to start with, and it's ready to go straight away, and it just goes from strength to strength. So what I like to do is get two components. First of all, a gravel, not too coarse, sort of like that grain size. Yeah, you can see that there, look. So I think it's like normal compost, but they just float off all the organics. So it's just more dense stuff that stays, you know, not suspended in the water column, it all stays together. And the aquatic compost is used in like ponds. They put them in like baskets and then put the plants into that, so you don't have to put it all over the bottom of the pond, and it doesn't look so horrible. That it sort of keeps it contained. So it can go directly in water and it sort of stays put, doesn't float around, doesn't cause algae. And I found that this is the best stuff to be able to use for any sort of ecosystem tank, anything that's going to be capped with sand. It works so well. So to start with, I'm going to put in a couple of scoops of that gravel, and then also a couple of scoops of the aquatic compost. I'll leave some links in the description for the aquatic compost if you're interested. Make sure you break up any large clumps, of course. And then what I want to do is just mix all that together, and having the gravel in there with it sort of stops it all going compacted and nasty, and just allows sort of water to flow through it. Not flow like if it's as if it's in the water column, but I don't know, transportation of nutrients through it. Basically just stops it becoming sort of putrefied, I found. Because I've done this lots of times now, and whenever I've had to take apart a tank that I've done in this way, it doesn't smell bad or anything like that. When it smells bad, that's a sign of like, I think it's like methane being created. Remove any like bigger bits you find as well. And then on top of that, I'm going to add some Colombo Flora-based Pro. This is sort of an optional extra. I've found that it's an aqua soil basically, but what it really is good at doing is storing and locking nutrients into it that can be used later on. So I add a little bit of that in as well. Like I say, if you've got the budget, I definitely recommend adding a little bit of aqua soil as well. It just sort of boosts everything from day one, but isn't completely necessary. Of course, ultimately, if you wanted to do a completely different look, I mean, I like a sand look. I think it just looks great in an aquarium. But you can just do Flora-based Pro just straight away, just a whole layer of that, and then planting, say, carpeting plants. That works really well as well. That's basically what I did up here in this tank, and as you can see, it looks insane. That's all got a whole base of Flora-based Pro. I think I added a little bit of aquatic compost for that one, but ultimately, that aqua soil is brilliant. I mean, the light is getting great coloration, but works so well. And then mix that all in again. There we go, good mix. Now this tank is going to be sat in a position where it's going to be viewed from this angle. So what I want to do is create a little gap at the edge, because I don't really want to see all this stuff, because I don't think it's very nice looking. I think it ruins the illusion if you can see all the underside of it. I used to do it, but I don't like it anymore. I don't like seeing it too much. I'd rather just see the sand. And then always taper backwards so it's higher at the back as well. Brilliant, and now we can cap over that whole thing with some sand. And here I'm using just like a cheap pool filter sand. Put it in the foreground first, so then it doesn't, the rest of it doesn't push into that gap, and it means we'll only see the sand. Build that all up. And I like to cap the whole thing by like an inch. Some people say you need more. I've never found that to be necessary, to be honest. I think if you've just got like a tank that's halfway full up with sand, I just think it looks rubbish. But that's just my take on it. Maximum I want to be able to see at the front is like that height. I think that to me looks natural and good. And like I say, any of this stuff that's underneath the sand, if it does come out and protrude a little when you say remove some plants or something, none of it's going to hurt the water column at all. There we go, what we've created there is the workhorse for the aquarium, and as I've said, look, you can see nice and neat from the sides. You can't see any of the sort of nutrient layer underneath, but if you come around this side, of course, you can, but then you won't see this side because it'll be butted up against something. Okay, now for the fun bit, putting the hardscape in. Now it's a small tank, so we don't want to go too crazy because we need lots of room for plants as well, but I'm thinking of stuff coming out. I think like a crisscross section is what I've got in my head. Coming right out of the tank, it should make a small tank look bigger because it's coming out, you know what I mean? So we've got some really good wood selection. I'm wanting bigger pieces, but these are all too sort of thick and chunky. But this one, no, these ones here. Yeah, some pieces like that might work. So I've got 3 bigger pieces. This was 1 piece, but I've snapped it down because it was just too oversized. But yeah, I should be able to do something cool with those 3 for what I'm thinking. Right, let's have a play around. So I wanted initially one coming from this corner, somewhere back there and leaning on. It will create shadows, but that's quite cool as well. Maybe a bit less than that, there we go. So I've still got light in the foreground. And then maybe another one crossing it, somewhere non-central, so that's quite central. If I can just angle it right, or have it, yes, that's better. I kind of want it like that. Oh, that looks wicked. Love that. And then maybe one more inside, down low in that front section, but not touching the glass. Yeah, there's like a real sense of interest. It sort of makes you look right into the tank. Be cool for the fish as well. They've got some shaded areas. There's plenty of light patches as well, but even in the shade, there'll be enough light for the sort of plants that I'm going to be putting in here. Yeah, I think we're onto a good winner here. Look at that coming out the tank. It just makes the whole thing just look way bigger. If I just had a couple of pieces sitting in there, it'd just be boring, wouldn't it? But we do need a couple of like random rocks as well, because what riverbed or lake bed is just completely clear. So yeah, we've got a few nice ones for some interest. Not too big, so it's not going to take up too much space, but it give us some nice little focal points, and I can see this turning into something that's going to look awesome. So I'm trying not to think about the location of the stones too much. I'm just trying to be a little bit random with it, because after all, that is how nature is. It doesn't really always follow these rules of thirds and things. Although I've tried to keep it an interesting look, I can see this being something in nature. That's all I do is whenever I create a scape, I step back and look at it and think, I went underwater somewhere. Could I really possibly see that? If it looks a little bit too like straight lined and parallel in certain areas, I just go no and just adjust the angles and stuff until it looks more random. Of course, it's not random because I've had to change it several times to achieve a look. But yeah, looking good, but I think the bed is too clean, so I'll add in some flicky stones and stuff just to rough it up a bit. Currently looks a bit like a load of stuff washed up on a beach, which is not the look I'm going for. Again, try and be random with it, but also keep it near some of the stones. I mean, I have seen people do this all over the whole surface. So it's whatever look you want. Don't let anyone tell you that there's specific rules, because there's not. There's whatever you want, and if you think it looks cool, then it does look cool. Obviously, some stuff doesn't. One thing I will say is if you're not happy with anything, just do it again. It's just practice. Don't settle for it. Just be like, okay, it's all right, but oh, I'll go with that. No, don't do that. Just do it again. Because you're only going to get better the more times you do it. I mean, I've done this like probably hundreds of times now. So sort of got an eye for when I know I'm doing something right or wrong. Like for me, for instance, there might be a few too many stones in this section, but I do know that I can plant into that as well. So it'll just go around the borders of the plants. Now that looks very riverbeddy to me. Some people say it's a mess, but then so is nature. What I do need to do though is glue these pieces of wood to something. So I've made sure I've placed rocks right next to them. There's one on that one, and that one there, and then also the other piece as well. So yeah, I'll do that. I'll glue the rocks to those pieces of wood, and that should keep them in place. I'll also glue the wood to the wood as well, so it doesn't go with the water. And to do that, I'll use my trusty Superfish glue. This is cyanoacrylate. It's gel. It's a gel form, which means it'll make blobs that will join the two pieces together, rather than just sort of going on and dripping down everywhere. Right, that is everything locked down, look. I can tap it and bang it, nothing's moving anywhere, so we're good there. And I tell you what, it's been a while since I've done a nano tank, and obviously I've just worked on this beast here. And I forgot how enjoyable it can be. It's very fast as well. This isn't taking me long at all. But what else is great about it is you don't need a lot to make a big impact. So there's a few sticks there, a little bit of scatter gravel, and I think it looks great. I don't know what you guys think, but hopefully you're looking at this thinking, all right, I can really have a go at that, because that's the sort of idea of this whole channel is Yes, we've got some big tanks as well. We've got lots of 4 foots. I've got 2 foots. I've got Nano rack. And then even smaller with this one, hopefully you've got that sort of size tank available and you can go, I want to have a go at doing that in mine as well. Rather than just some fake plants, a bit of one wood or something, a load of algae everywhere. Hopefully this is making you think, I want to give this a go, because that is the plan. And of course, no one wants to jump in and spend like 7 grand on a giant tank. And you don't have to. If you want to have a go with something like this, this is such a good budget option. It comes with the light, you know, it's got the filter, it's got everything you need to get going. And because you don't need a huge amount of hardscape, all of that is cheaper as well. So yeah, if you are considering it, give this a go. But now we can do some planting. Again, we don't need a huge amount of plants, but I like to start with the foreground plants and sort of work my way back. When I get to the stem plants, I like to fill the whole thing up and do it then. But to start with, get some detail in that front area. And I've got a bit of a mix. So down here, I've got the Easy Grow from Aquafleur. I've got the Monte Carlo there, which will go in really good. 3 pots of that. I've got 3 pots of dwarf hairgrass as well. Actually, I've got 5, but the ones at the back, I've had them for quite a while now and they're starting to sort of look a bit past it. And then down in my plant vat area, I have got over here, yeah, here it is, Ericoulon, Vietnam. And then also about 3 pots of Liliopsis Novae Zealandia. So yeah, that's plenty for this size tank. So we've got 2 types of plants here from Aquafleur. We've got the potted kind and we've obviously got the Easy Grow kind. Now they're both very easy to prepare. All you've got to do for the stuff in the Easy Grow, take it out of the pot. There's like a liquid inside. There's not a lot left because I've had these for quite a while, but look at how dense that is. That looks so good, right? There's so many plants in there as well. And then for the potted plants, actually with these ones, because they're so shallow, all I need to do is pinch the whole lot and I can just wiggle the root structure free, which is so much easier than scraping off the rock wall. And there you go, got all the roots, we've got the plants. Obviously there's a few more extra that have grown as well because I've had it sat in water. We can utilise those too. And the potted plants tend to come in big clumps, but for a small scape like this, I find it's nicer just to break them up into smaller sections. You can just get more detail in lots of different places then. I think it'll give a better sort of look. Yeah, same with the Easy Grow look. I find that if you just pinch the edge, tear away from the base, got a nice little pocket. So that's everything prepared. I'm going to leave the hairgrass actually, just because I'm not sure there's enough light for hairgrass in this one. I know there is enough for Monte Carlo because look at this one over here. This is my bowl aquarium. It doesn't even have a light on it, but look at the Monte Carlo down the bottom growing great. It's just got some shrimps in there right now and 1 female that I put in there because I want her to have some babies and a safe place for them. But yeah, Monte Carlo seems to grow really well in lower light conditions. That was actually just a couple of sprigs that's sort of spread everywhere. So yeah, I know it's good. So let's get planting. Ericoulon. I want to have that close to like the rocks and things. I'll bring the Monte Carlo out more in open patches so it can sort of spread out. And then I want lots of the Liliopsis in this mid-ground section. Good amount of light hitting it there as well, which means it will spread everywhere. And yeah, then lots of Monte Carlo all in the foreground, which will eventually just sort of spread. So I think that's great for foreground plants, but you know, every tank needs some ferns, right? But this is such a small tank, I'm not going to put just like giant ferns, you know, like you can see in that one, but that fern is as big as the whole thing. So instead, in the archerfish tank here, hello guys, calm down, just calm down. Yeah, I'll feed you in a minute. Down here we can see this mother plant of Java is releasing growing on the leaves, these little baby ones, like that one there is like an extra small one. So I'm going to pinch those off and put those in. That'll just go really nicely. So I'm thinking just in this little section here, like this, there's nothing for it to fix to. So you can use the glue again and just glue the rhizome and that won't damage the plant at all. Oh, extra baby one. You just want to hold it for about 10 seconds on the glue. Try not to get it on your fingers because it's a pain. And then when you let go, it should be stuck. There we go. I think I want to put this little baby one just in the foreground here. I think that'll look brilliant. Oh yeah, look at that. Very cute. And then on this bit here, there's a little bit of a join you can see where I glued. I'm going to put another one there, and then that'll hide that as well. And I think that's enough. I'd like the rest to all be fast-growing stem plants, which really helps with aquariums, like maintaining a balance. Fast-growing plants just helps tremendously. So I'll fill this up with water now, get the filter going, and then I can get all the plants in as well for the background area. There we go, we're all filled up, we're looking good. Once the water's in there, actually you get more of a even distribution of light as well. So I can see that all of that is absolutely fine. It's all going to grow everywhere, which I look forward to. It'll take a while because I'm not putting CO2 and things like that on the tank. It'll take a good couple of months, but after that time, it'll be completely green and a full carpet, a textured carpet as well, because we've got all those different plants in that foreground area. I love that. I don't know why, I just really love that Java phone just sat there. The others look good as well, look. Right, we can get a little bit of nice filtration going as well. And we're on. Now the point of this little filter is not to start hammering it like water flowing around the tank. You can see there, look at that, you can see how it's all trickling down. It's not going to create loads of flow, but what it is going to do is pull the water in, clean it up, and make sure that the media that's inside stays cycled for your fish. This is not the sort of tank you want to be putting like 50 neons in or something like that. It'll just turn to algae. You won't enjoy it and it'll be pointless. I mean, the point of this tank is a few little nice pretty feature fish that you choose and an environment that they can enjoy as well. Now, what stem plants to choose? Well, I've got loads at the moment available. For instance, this tank is being broken down soon and I've got a load of plants in there growing really well, so I'm going to take some of them. I'll label them up as I go, of course. Reds. This, again, needs trimming back. I have just recently taken a ton of plants out of it, but we need to take out some more. And there's one little spot in the tank where I think they'll do well. Red plants staying really red is more to do with the light intensity and type than anything else. That's what I've always found anyway. So there's one area, look. This area at the back right here looks to me to be about the only spot that will keep those reds not quite as vibrant, but almost as vibrant. And I can sort of bring it across a little bit more, and you'll just see it peeking over the top of these branches in this top section for a little bit more detail. That's the only area I'm going to put some red. The rest will all be green stems. There we go, like a nice little pocket. Now, I don't think it will stay quite as vibrantly red as that, because this isn't like a massively powerful light, is it? Hopefully it will, because it's quite tall already and it's close to the light, but I would expect it to lose some of its vibrancy, but that's fine. It's just going to be a different tone and texture to what we've got going on next to it, which is going to be all sort of green stems. There we go, looking beautiful. I love it. It's not too complicated. There's loads of fast-growing stems in there. It's gone a little bit misty. That's obviously because I've been stirring up the sand and everything, but we have a solution to that. On the outflow there, you can just put a little bit of filter floss and it will just catch all that tiny, tiny debris, because it's microscopic, the dust you're seeing. It's so small, because anything larger than that just sinks to the bottom. So if it's in the water column, it's tiny and it needs a little bit of help. Obviously inside of here is like coarse sponge, which won't actually catch it. It'll just allow it to keep recirculating. So we put some filter floss in the top just to clear it up. Right, so we'll just allow that to clear and then we can put in our fish. Okay, so it's been about an hour, and as you can see, everything is cleared right up. If you look at the back, a little bit of filter floss, that's all gunky. We can take that out now, put the cap on, and let me show you the fish that's going in the tank. So over here on the fish wall, in this tank here, is where we've got them. So we've got a little group of little cories, and surprisingly enough, that is their common name, little cories. And then up in the top section, you can see here, we've got neon green resporas. Nice little group of them, a tiny, tiny fish, and they stay nice and small as well. So yeah, they'll be beautiful in that tank. But before we add in the fish, I want to add in the critters first. So like little snails and shrimp and things like that, really, really important to an ecosystem. And I decommissioned this tank a while back, but I've left it as it is because there's a good little group of snails in there breeding, and I knew I was going to want them. There's also some Nano shrimp. I feel like a couple will be good in this tank. Don't need too many. And then this section here of the wall is all of my cherry shrimp. I've got all the different colours. So in this one, look, we've got the reds. This one, we've got some really nice rillies. This one's just a mix of like all different ones that sort of bred and can go anywhere. And over in this one, hopefully it's picking up the colour, we've got blues. So I've got a nice little collection of bladder snails and ram's horn snails. There we go. Now, some people don't like snails and they think they're a pest for your tank, but I can guarantee you in an ecosystem, they are massively important. Every single one of my tanks has snails in. Some people worry that they're going to overproduce and just take over the tank, but I've found that never to be the case. As long as you're not chucking in tons and tons of food, it's not going to be an issue. The snails will only reproduce to the level of food that's available to them in the tank. If there's loads of extra food and waste just sat on the bottom because you're overfeeding what the fish require, then yeah, they're going to continue to breed and the numbers will get bigger. But if you just make sure you're feeding just enough for your fish, they'll produce their own waste, and any bits left behind, the snails will eat. But for me, they're very important in the whole ecosystem, just for churning everything up and getting rid of any sort of waste material as well. Next up are the Nano shrimp. Just got two here. They're a decent size though. Look at that. Now, Nano shrimp are really good at just going around constantly picking at plants. They will eat certain types of algae as well, but it's the small details that they really, really do take care of. Now, they can't reproduce in fresh water. They use brackish water. It's a very complicated process. But I tell you what do reproduce is the cherry shrimp. So we've got a nice little group here of males and females. They should all reproduce in no time because they're of a good size. The females are nice and plump. Yeah, perfect. One of the great things about cherries is that they seem to just settle in straight away. Cherry shrimp are neo-caridina as opposed to caridina, and they're a lot more forgiving on water parameters. In terms of food, I do not feed them directly when I've got fish in the tank because they'll just pick up on biofilm and waste. And for instance, this wood here is going to be absolutely covered in biofilm already, to be honest, and it will just continue over the next few days. They'll have plenty of food to be able to sort of graze on. So now for our first fish, the little cories. And they really are little, look. Perfect. Ah, oh, looks so good under that light. They're gonna love those little shaded areas as well. Cories are just so cute, and I know you guys think that as well because of my merch, the thick cory hoodie has sold like 4 times more than any others. They've just got like such cute faces, haven't they? And then for our main feature fish, the neon green resporas. Now, hopefully you guys can see what I mean now. You don't want to be putting tons and tons of fish in. Just a little school like this is enough. Like, it adds a lot of interest. It's good for the tank and fish, and it'll also massively improve your chance of success in terms of algae. Every tank is going to have a little bit of algae, of course, but we want to minimize it, and by just keeping little schools of fish like this, it really does improve your chances of success. Now, these fish aren't jumpy fish, and I make sure I keep the water level an inch below the surface, as you can see there. So we'll be all good in that respect, but there is one thing still missing from the tank. A nice little clump of mini water lettuce as a floating plant. Floating plants are brilliant at sort of taking nutrients out of the water. They can grow so fast because they're exposed to the atmosphere, and because they grow so fast, they use those nutrients. Again, it's stopping algae or massively reducing it. They also make the tank look really natural. So there we go, a really simple setup that's easy to replicate, but I'm very sure that if you follow the steps that I've done, you should have really good success and be able to enjoy the tank for a long time. Now, given that the tank isn't cycled, I will be adding beneficial bacteria and doing daily water testing just to make sure there's no spikes in ammonia. With this bioload though, there shouldn't be, and this amount of plants. Plants actually use ammonia to grow, so they'll be absorbing anything that's in the water column, but it's still best to check. Definitely for the first week at least, I'll check daily. Now, given this tank is brand new, I'm going to be adding a fertilizer into the mix. So it'll take about a week or so for the roots of the plants to really sort of bed in and be able to absorb nutrients efficiently. In the meantime, all the plants are going to pull some nutrients from the water column from the fertilizer and give them every chance of success. Now, in case any of you are wondering about heating the tank, I heat the whole room. But if you want, there is a little section in the back of the filter that you can put a heater in, and it slots in nicely. You can't see it, and that is how you would heat your tank. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this one, and hopefully it's given you some inspiration for a tank. Just follow the tips I've given you, and you shouldn't have any problems at all, and have a great successful tank that grows beautifully with minimal maintenance required and minimal algae being the main thing. And I'll see you guys on the next one.